So after my last video, I decided to carry on with this. I got the rust off of it. I've taken it off its stand. One thing I did find was a whole bunch of insulation up underneath between it and the stand. A little mouse. I decided to make a house in there one winter, a couple of winters ago. But it's cleaned up a little bit, and if I take a straight edge, I can find that my smallest feeler gauge doesn't go anywhere, which means I'm very coplanar, which is a good thing because I don't know how to adjust it anyways. One thing that it was the blades or the knives are a little bit low on it, and these knives, I think, let me see if I can get this on. I think what happened is the guy made his own set of custom knives, and I'm saying that this is very good steel because it was a maintenance mechanic I used to work at. But they were a little bit low. And one thing that I am questioning though is, I don't know if I can get you in here. Let me zoom you out a bit so I can get you closer. These little screws in here I don't think are stock, and these screws are what the blades sit on top of for height adjustment, and they seem a bit short, so I'm going to get some grub screws and put in there for the blade to sit on. So the blade sits in there on top of it, and then the little locking bar goes in and holds it in place. And I just took a 5/16 wrench and ground it down a bit so it'll fit in between. And so I'm going to go look for some new grub screws for that to see if I can get a little bit longer and a bit better adjustment. I don't think any machine manufacturer in the history of time has ever used something with a slot head on it for adjusting anything. So we're going to figure out what thread that is, and we're going to get some little grub screws, some machine screws to put in there to adjust the height, and that'll be the next step. And I got something pretty cool to show you when I set those heights. So stay tuned for more. It's coming up. So I've just taken my tap and checked that. And that seems to be the one right there. Goes in there quite nicely. So now I know what size I need. And that is a number 632. So I gotta go get half a dozen grub screws to change that. And there's the one that was in there before. And come on, focus. And that's a self-tapping screw, and there's no way that that is original. So we're going to get a half a dozen 632 machine screws to fit in there, which is not a big thing, but it'll give me the ability to adjust the height on the blade on the knife for it. So I guess we're off to the hardware store. A trip to the big town. We'll see you in a bit. So I couldn't find the grub screws I wanted, kind of a specialty item. So I got some little machine screws here. And the head is a little bit wide. So I've taken the grinder and mounted it into the vise, and we're going to modify it a little bit and make it fit. And we can see if that makes it work. And just make a slight adjustment to it. little bit longer than I need to, but it's better than too short. And we'll just see if we can get that right in there. Seems to fit in there a bit better. They still may not work. They might be a little high on the head of the screw. But no big deal, it's only 15 cents worth of screws here. It's still way too high. Okay, I'll try another plan. Okay, this is plan B. If you have a pair of wire cutters like this, you'll see that there's 440, 632, and what you can do is you line that up. We'll get the screw in there into the 632 because that's what we're using. And I've got tons of length here. Get everything. Lots more length than I need. Here. I'll just get them screwed in. Now you see it comes through. Just knock that head off, clean as you be, clean as you want. We'll just take the Dremel and put a slot in there and make grub screws. Okay, we've got all the heads cut off of them. Just gingerly put this in the vise, just enough to hold it. You don't want to mess up the threads. We'll probably chase the threads anyways. But we don't want to mess anything up too much. And just give it a touch of a cleanup with the file. And we'll cut a slot in it for a screwdriver. And that should do it. Well, no love, no luck. Put the slot in there and there's just not enough material there. When you turn it with the screwdriver, it just breaks away on the side. So we're going to have to take a trip to yet another town to see if we can find the proper fasteners. But, you know, you experiment and you keep trying and plug away at it and see what happens. So we're on hold for a little while anyways.